early, but we'll go ahead and call the September 19th Airport Commission order. Roll call.
Neil Johnson,
Here.
Greg Collier,
Here.
Andrew Barker,
Here.
Joel Gardner,
Present.
Steve Smith, Bill Schoonover,
Here.
Greg Willoughby.
Approval of the minutes.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Motion second approved. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Comments from the audience. Anyone in the audience would like to speak? Just step, okay, go ahead. I had really, before you do this, I was gonna say we was gonna count it as an agenda item, but probably would be better off if you go ahead and do your statement now, and then we'll see if we want to act on it today or have to wait till next meeting.
Certainly. Okay.
Okay.
Well, for those of you that haven't met me, my name is Cal Miner. I'm the general manager at the Albatross Bar and Grill inside the municipal airport at Springdale. And per our business agreement, we have to come before the commission to change our operating hours. Now, our original operating hours were that we were going to be open from at least 7 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. Since then, over the last 5 days, we've been open later than that, staying open until about 7 p.m. Now, because of those extended hours, we've noticed a trend that has changed in our sales. Between the hours of 7 and 11 a.m., that accounts for about 11% of our total revenue. So that is what I'm going to call the breakfast hours. Now, obviously, lunch is what's going to be the largest bit of sales for us. Anything after 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. is what I'm calling dinner hours, all right? Now, we've only had the dinner hours open for about 5 days, and that accounts for over 20% of our total revenue since we've opened. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to adjust our hours to be open between the hours of 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. as opposed to 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. in the interest of good business. That's all I have to say.
This didn't get on the agenda.
Right.
And I know this is, go ahead.
I know we haven't approved an agenda or have an approval of an agenda line item on here, but I would make, if need be, the motion to go ahead and bring this up as the very next item that we discuss on the agenda so we can formally discuss it. Because normally we don't comment on public comment. So I move that we actually put this on as a discussion item right now.
Okay, so we'll move it to, is your motion that we would move it between 9 and 10 on the agenda?
I would say let's do it between 4 and 5 before we do anything else.
Okay, we got a motion.
I'll second.
Motion second that we do put this on the agenda immediately after, before 5. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Oh,
Okay, we have,
I'd like to ask a couple of questions.
Well, now we can actually
I'm
start
sorry.
having a question
Okay,
period.
so, yes, let's have further
so
discussion.
we're gonna
I'm
put it
sorry.
on the agenda. That's what
Okay,
we're
all
doing
right,
now.
yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Now we're on the
confused.
agenda.
Now we can actually ask
Okay,
questions.
now I want to ask
That's
you a
what I wanted to
question.
do.
Okay.
All
Yes, sir,
right,
go ahead.
We're on the record, okay? How much advertising have you done, and any portion of that directed toward what I would call the morning breakfast crowd? How are you getting the word out?
Okay, so we're using a couple of different social media platforms between Facebook and Instagram, as well as using Google. Now, in terms of the actual number of dollars, I can't tell you how much was spent through Facebook ads, Google ads, and what have you. I'd have to refer back to Jeff for that. We're also in touch with the Cumulus Radio Network, who is now putting together a package for us. Now, that's for the future. That has nothing to do with our past sales. But our entire menu is listed on every social media that we're involved in.
Is the plan to not do breakfast at all?
No, sir. The plan is to build the clientele and then reopen the breakfast hours as early as needed.
So there's a chance that if the demand is communicated and is warranted, then you would expand your hours further.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
What model would indicate that that's a good idea? How do you develop a breakfast clientele if you don't have it open for breakfast?
Well, so on the weekend, we tend to have people show up for our brunch menu, which is a completely separate menu during Monday through Friday. And what we're seeing is that people tend to not show up until about 10 a.m., about the brunch time. So we are still catering to the breakfast clientele, the potential breakfast clientele, by being open at 10. But looking at our sales analytics, when the sales occur, the people that do come in for breakfast, that is to say between the hours of 7 and 11 a.m., they typically arrive between the hours of 10 to 10:30.
Well, I know when it was open before, breakfast seemed to be the largest draw. And that's always been my thought process. However, I haven't been there yet. You can't judge it on my activity, but I certainly am sympathetic to the fact that you want to go where your largest crowd is. I hate to see it not have a breakfast, but I will go with the,
If I could, I would like to actually express a motion at this point in time.
I've got a couple more questions,
go.
please. So, back to where Bill, I think, was going a while ago, you're basing this on how long have you been open?
Between 3 and 4 weeks.
In 4 weeks, and you've not advertised breakfast yet?
So we've advertised our full menu between breakfast and lunch. The largest response we've received has been for lunch, and when we extended our hours into the evening, we simply carried the lunch menu into the dinner hours. And that has done, as I said, about 20% of our revenue inside of 5 days since we've been open. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Whereas we've had the breakfast option available the entire 23 days or so, and that only accounts for 11% of our total revenue since we've opened. So it's roughly 6 times more profitable for us to be open in the evening than for breakfast right now.
Not expanding your menu as a result of this, you're just continuing lunch menu into the evening?
That is not correct. We are still in the development phases of a dinner menu, which we've already gone into with the owner. It's not currently available, but it will be within a couple of days.
So breakfast is still offered, it just begins at 10 a.m.
That's right.
Got
And it is actually going to be sort of merged into a brunch menu, so you'll have breakfast and lunch options. Somewhere in the realm of 11 to noon, brunch will be cut off. It goes into a a lunch menu, and then somewhere around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock p.m. will merge into a dinner menu.
Sir, may I? All right, and I'm going to preface this motion with the express and hope that we get away from micromanaging somebody else's business, and I understand why we do it. But my motion would be that we modify the agreement as it currently sets to allow for the existing hours of 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. From the 7 to 4:30 hours, or whatever it is right now, 7 to 7. With the knowledge that he can expand either or both ends up to 3 hours, which gets him back to the 7 a.m. For the breakfast time, and allows for even as late as 10 p.m. on the evening time if he feels the need, without returning to the board or without returning to the commission, and that all reductions in hours be brought before the commission a minimum of 2 weeks prior to his execution of the reduction of hours.
did you get all that?
No, but we will.
So basically,
may I modify
allowing
that?
you to do your business shifting your hours to where they are right now, and if you immediately feel you need to go back to breakfast to pick up those 3 hours, you can without getting permission from mom and dad, or going to 10 o'clock at night without getting permission to stay out late. But anything that you're going to do to cut the hours, we need to know about it.
So
Minimum
if,
of 2 weeks before you go ahead and cut the hours.
If we're able to provide service 24 hours a day, I'd like that opportunity. But if we're ever going to shorten the hours, you're saying come back 2 weeks before the next meeting?
Yes, 2 weeks before you plan on cutting the hours.
Yes, sir.
Minimum. So that way, he has full reign on his business and hours.
I'll second that.
I would like to make an adjustment to that because if he comes back to us in 2 weeks, it could cause what I would call an emergency meeting.
No, it's got to be 2 weeks
Prior
He's
to
got to
the
notify
meeting.
us a minimum of 2 weeks before he cuts. So the next time he can come back and tell us is next month, and he can't cut until 2 weeks after that.
Just long as we had an opportunity to meet as a group without a special,
Yes.
without a special meeting to
Yes.
review your proposed actions.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Understood.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
Okay, we have a motion second.
Yeah, I'll
Any more-
second.
Any more discussion? Yep. Yes. If not, it'll be roll call.
Collier,
No.
Barker,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Smith, oh, sorry, Schoonover,
No,
Willoughby's not here, Johnson,
I'm gonna abstain. Never done that before, but I just feel, I feel like it's a little premature to make a decision. Pardon me? Well, I guess mine's a no. So it did not pass, and I think that it is, in any business, the way I look at it. 2 or 3 weeks is not this is my personal opinion, is not long enough to determine anything about a business. So I think my best advice would be to continue as you're doing and come back at a later date when you have a little more documentation, how it's going and everything. And I'm not one to micromanage anything. We set out to do that, but we certainly didn't think they'd be coming back to us in 2 or 3 weeks, ask for adjustment on what they proposed. They proposed this to
Understood.
begin with. And so I feel that it's fair, and welcome, come back anytime.
All right. Thank you.
And then I would actually, before we go ahead and close this out, I would actually go ahead and put another proposal out there, or another motion out there that allows him to, if he chooses to, do the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., because right now you close at what time?
Right now, that's how we're operating, is
Okay.
7 to 7.
So allow him to go up to 10 o'clock if he feels necessary, to add those other 3 hours on the other end.
Or maybe even a minimum of 7 to 7. Anything above that is,
Yes, a minimum of 7, there you go. My official motion is that it's a minimum of 7 to 7, and anything above that, you're allowed to go ahead and make those decisions on your own.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Have you had a sale before 8 a.m.?
No.
Have you had a sale before 9 a.m.?
I believe we've had one. As I said, most of our customers, I think the busiest we've ever been in the morning was 2 tables total. A vast majority of them occur between 9 and 10 a.m.
Is that weekdays or weekends?
Both.
Okay, we got a motion that, we don't have a second. A second to the
I'll
motion?
second that.
Got a motion second? Roll call?
Barker,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Schoonover,
7 to 7?
Plus.
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Collier,
Yes.
I would like to say this, is, I think, to the commission, I think we've been wanting a restaurant up there. I think we all ought to buckle down and help them as much as we can with word of mouth. Hey, guys, go up there and try their breakfast or lunch or whatever. But I certainly will do that. I'm gonna tell you, I've not been on my toes like I should have the last couple of months, but I will be putting the word out for you.
We appreciate
And I hope
that.
everybody else will be too. And that word of mouth is one of the best things.
Yes.
And I see the chamber represented here, maybe we get them to. So,
I agree with that, but I also feel like asking somebody to lose money for an hour is not necessarily the best thing to do.
understand. Okay, that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Summit Aviation update.
Good afternoon. So after listening to that, actually, I wanted to go ahead and put some input from Summits in. Is that it's nice to see that people who are coming in looking for food are actually having somewhere to go. Finally, and also, if y'all on your end want to develop more posts, on Facebook pertaining to certain meals, I follow it, so I can share that on Summit Aviation's page as well, and maybe we can see a little bit more traffic due to that. There are hundreds of people that follow the Summit Aviation Facebook page, so anybody who's local will hopefully be drawn in by that. Okay, so looking at fuel sales from July to August, our numbers were down 2.4%. Not super significant, but not something I would ever want given the option. And that was kind of just overall. I think I mentioned at the last meeting, sales were kind of looking a little bit down. But we still had quite a bit of traffic coming through. Our rental car sales were actually higher than expected, so that was nice. And I can't remember if I told you, but we are Hertz preferred as far as what we choose to rent out, the company we use, and they've given us 2 courtesy cars, plus we have our Durango that gives us 3 courtesy cars, and having that option has made customers a lot happier, and just as far as transportation is concerned, they're a lot happier coming into Springdale knowing that no matter what, they're probably going to be able to get a ride somewhere. So that's nice, just kind of on my end to share. Okay, so we had let me grab it real quick. We are Shell contract. All of our fuel comes from a company called Titan Aviation, works with Shell. They do a yearly inspection on all of our fueling equipment, and they showed up, surprised us last week. And one of the reasons I was originally brought in is because Summit Aviation was so far out of compliance, they didn't know what to do. And that's what I focused in at my previous job, was quality control, but working with TAC Air and Phillips 66. So I came in, looked at everything that was needing to be done, kind of got things corrected. So this year when we had our audit again, it went very well. Our fuel providers are extremely satisfied with the condition of the airport, our fueling operations. They liked what they saw at the fuel farm. But having said that, there were a few things that were notated for the fuel farm that I would like to present to the board and request. Small items. Well, 2 of them are small items. The other one, I've got no idea. There is a piece of equipment called a differential pressure gauge, and there is one on each filter vessel at the fuel farm, one for avgas and one for both of the jet fuel tanks. They are inoperative. I don't know how old they are, and I don't know if there's any rebuild kits available for them, so I'm not sure if I could do that. So I'm requesting 2 new DP gauges. I can install them. They're super easy to do. I can probably locate where to get them as well if the city can't. Again, not sure. I've never bought one before. And then there is Jet A storage tank B does not appear to be equipped with a fire valve or an outlet valve that is a fusible device that causes the valve to close automatically in case of fire in accordance. Recommend installation to be in compliance with NFPA 30. I've never messed with a fire valve. Not sure.
Can
what
I
it-
interrupt you?
Yes, sir.
The items you're talking about now is maintenance items that's supposed to be referred to the airport manager.
Right.
And he would bring that to us.
Okay. Well, then I can get with Bill.
I don't see any need in addressing those at the commission today.
Okay.
All of that stuff needs to be addressed through the week with the facility manager.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Sure. No, if that's what you would prefer, then definitely. So, but given the opportunity, I wanted to make sure you know that we did go through an audit and everything was overall looking really good. So third parties are satisfied with the way everything is looking. And then the fly-in. The bar and grill is going to be cooking up sandwiches and sides for us. I've talked to Jeff. He's going to be doing that for our $5 box lunches. I've got a donation of chicken from Cameron McCarron with ARH. He's providing the protein for that. I'm going to be providing the sides. Summit will. They're going to cook that for us and sell it at the event. We're still looking for more aircraft to come in. We've got a lot of local guys who are going to bring their aircraft around. I am also encouraging anybody with classic cars to show up. We want to get those on the ramp just for some eye candy, some conversation pieces, basically. I'm talking to Jason McMullen at Harbor High School Aviation Club. Those kids are officially going to come volunteer for us. Not too much volunteering. They're just going to be kind of watching the perimeter, basically. A lot of communicating with them, with pilots, basically looking for mentors, seeing the different avenues that they can take in their aviation interest or careers, whatever it might be. They've also developed a new logo, so I'm going to be getting a new flyer out and circulating as well, incorporating their new logo. And then also, I've got a couple of flyers. If y'all haven't seen them, I'll pass them around here in a second. Any ideas for advertising to the public? I know a few ideas were thrown around last week, but I didn't know if anybody had a chance to think about that and if you can get back with me at any point, I'd appreciate that. And I've got plenty of these. If y'all want to take these and copy them, pass them around, you're welcome to. I've got plenty more. But unless you have any questions for me or comments, that's all I have.
Have you confirmed which date, or?
Yes. Saturday, October 5th. If we're rained out, Saturday, October 12th, 1 week later. Tentative hours, looking at 9 to 5. I don't think it's going to go nearly that long. I think Jeff talked about doing a pancake breakfast, so that is mentioned in one of the flyers. Kind of playing it by ear, really, this first time around.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to have to back up. We slipped in this restaurant deal here. We may have others in the audience that wants to come speak. I did not give that opportunity. Bill, I'm sorry.
I'll only take a minute, and thank you for the courtesy. I intended to be here earlier. I just want to run over, and personally, I hope you already have gotten some emails from us, but a week from today, at our regular morning brew, we do a Thursday morning coffee. What we're doing is something a little special. There's so much going on in Springdale. We want to invite you to come to our morning brew. There's no formal program as far as y'all are concerned. We're going to put a special name tag on you and just give our 120 people who come on a regular basis a chance to put a name with a face of someone on the airport commission. And if they, have questions or just engage, really, that's what that's about. So if your schedule allows, we'd love you love for you to come. It's 8:30 till 9:30 at the latest. And that's over at McDonald's corporate headquarters. I'll send you an email. It's over on Mountain Road. Hopefully you've gotten something already, but I wanted to let you know what that event was about. It's a chance of getting people a chance to talk to, those that decide things for us. And then I know you've gotten stuff, but I hope that you will either shoot me an email or RSVP. I hope that you'll come and drop by Chicken and Peeling on the 3rd, October 3rd, down at Shiloh Square. Senator Bozeman, Congressman Womack, both county judges. We'll have about 30 Arkansas legislators will be there. Y'all been before. I just want to come over and extend the personal invitation. Hope y'all can come. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to say something? If not, then we'll move on to item number 6. James,
Operations, Bill is calling on our late renters. So he's working that on our AWAS maintenance and our tower maintenance. Ron out of Missouri was the one who took that over when Larry retired. Well, apparently his health is failing, so we got an email from John Schrock with a list of 4 people that could take over the AWAS maintenance. So I'm in the process of reaching out to those 4 to see who has the best price to do the AWAS, but then I've still got to find someone to take over the tower as well. So that's what I'm working on now. Find a new text to keep us in FA stats. But for now, Larry Caldwell stepped back up to get our tower back in compliance because our ground frequency went out. So,
how long is that going to take?
don't know. It's old. I don't know if they can find parts.
Everything's old. Here. You want to address the next item, the deputy attorney couldn't be here, and we're talking about delinquent hangers?
Right. So Sarah sent out an email to say that she couldn't be here today, but she was working on our 60-day past personnel that she has, which is our previous restaurant person and then a couple of our tenants that's always late.
Yeah. So I guess the conclusion is she's still working on it.
Correct.
So they've been doing a good job, so.
I'd like to ask a question. These names are repetitive. I mean, month after month after month, the same names appear. It's cost us money to chase this money. How long do we continue this with, James, how many people are on the waiting list right now for hangars?
Almost 40.
I'd like to pose that as a question. Is it fair to people that are on a waiting list, compared to just month after month after month, the same names come up? I see a real pattern. Address it.
I feel that we've been real fair with everybody, if not overly fair, like Bill is saying. Very fair. And this day and time, with the pressure on there, we should revisit our rules that we've got set out there that we're supposed to be playing by. I know we've sent that information to people, and I, for one, would love to modify it. I don't have that in front of me right now to know really what we're playing by. But could we get that information back at the next meeting and with the idea of maybe making some adjustments and getting it out there to everybody?
Well, are you talking about executing new contracts with everybody that have this new language in it?
Necessarily a contract, but clarify our position. And if we want to modify the notice that, hey, you know, you've got so many days, after that, we'll come down hard on you or whatever. We've been letting some of these go for a year or better.
I'd recommend you consider policy something like if they appear on the delinquent list 3 times in the last 12 months, they get evicted.
Anything like that would be open for, just
Do
to
we
get
have
the
any language
ideas.
like that now?
No, it's just,
We have changed it, we've modified it, we put it out there, and I can't tell you what it is, so,
We've added harsher penalties if they keep getting later and later, but doesn't affect them.
yeah, that's where we went with it.
Because there's actually no real penalty.
That don't seem to help.
But are we, with those additional fees, are we collecting those fees in addition to?
By the time the attorney gets it, we do.
But we're spending money on we're spending city resources chasing down something that we shouldn't have to chase. Yeah.
Yeah, more abusing the problem than others. Not everybody's doing it, but some are.
Well,
I'll definitely update you with
I would
users.
suggest that we bring that
Yeah.
information back in here next week, or next month, and look at it and see what we want. Add to, revise it, or whatever. Huh?
Take long to do that.
Everybody's on board with that.
Can we, be provided with a copy of the current, requirements, just so that we can be ready to go on this and next month and
That. Anybody else have a comment on it? Activity report, Wyman.
We're down the 3 houses and we're finishing up the property. We've finished the roof. We're closing out the grant. And part of the money left over in the CIP for the terminal building to pay our matching portion. We've still got a little bit of money left in CIP. I think 8 or 9, 10,000, something like that, that we hadn't used. See that with the projects we've financed ourselves, we've pulled our cash in bank down to 29,000. But we've got the grant portion of the roof project to come in yet, so should climb back up some.
Okay.
Did have an opportunity to talk to head of the Arkansas Department of Aeronautics this week. He told me that every airport in Arkansas has a waiting list for people wanting hangars. That it's just booming.
How many vacancies we got, James?
0.
About time to build some more, or we need to be thinking about that?
Funding for it.
I said we need to be thinking about that.
Well, and the last time we built hangars, it was primarily funded through the city?
We got state aeronautical. And we've closed in, since we built the last hangar, we've closed in 2, is that right?
Mhm.
And that's, we have one more that we need to look at. That may be something we want to do.
Well, it's already full.
But it's full. I mean, closing it would only give us the opportunity to increase
To raise the
the
rent.
rent.
Right.
But it doesn't help us with space and availability, and how,
Then we wouldn't have open T hangars.
Correct.
Maybe it's best to have an open T hangar, I don't know.
They do come in handy when you have some available, but we're booked.
Okay, so that shoots that down. But yeah, we can be looking at it and seeing where we might decide to locate one or whatever. I know we've been successful with that hangar 12, haven't we? It's stayed full. And that was the last hangar, well, no, it wasn't the last hangar we built. The last one was the one there on Powell Street.
Right.
The 3. Yeah, we need to be looking at building more hangars. Pardon me? Go ahead.
If I can just comment, I get about 4 or 5 phone calls a week looking for hangar space. And that's all sorts of aircraft, single engine piston to larger jets, Citation XL, stuff like that. So it's fairly common for that call to come in.
This is the problem we wished for a long time. We had a lot of vacancies over there at one time, and we don't need more hangars. So it's great. We're getting a reputation. I think the airport, I'll tell you, I keep saying this, but you cannot go anywhere that I've found, and I've gone a lot of places in this country by air, and you can't find a small airport that's right in the middle of town. This is one of the only one I know of. People come in, the more and more people want to come in. That's ever more reason that we need to get this transit terminal going down there. We've got the houses torn down now, and everybody needs to really get behind that and start talking to everybody you can see. And even if we get private funds, that'd be great, whatever we could do. And, but we need to really be looking at that. get aggressive on it. Did you have something on that, Bill?
No, I didn't. Good idea, though.
The calls that are coming into you, are those all individuals, no businesses?
It varies. I get some small corporations, private owners. Private owners are probably 95% of what I get, but I do get small corporations, companies that are just getting enough money to have a jet sort of situation, and they're looking to get to us. And speaking of airport being in town, we've actually got, Tyson has been coming in a little bit more regularly as well, a couple times in the last month and a half or so.
Is he here? Anything else on the hangars? If not, Robbie Williams from Arkansas General Aviation Association.
Thank you for your time today. And I apologize for not being at your last meeting when this item was on the agenda. And I also apologize for those of you who were here the meeting before that I did attend. I probably could have done a better job of explaining our organization and the services we provide to the members of our association. I understand, and Wyman can jump in or correct me at any point, but I understand there was a question that was raised last meeting about whether a city had the ability to join an association like ours. So there is some language in the Constitution that says you can't just give money to a nonprofit. I think it's there because if you didn't have that, every nonprofit in the world would come to every city in the state and ask for money. There is an Attorney General's opinion that I think was mentioned at your last meeting that backs that up. There's a subsequent Attorney General's opinion from 2001 that I knew was out there somewhere because a lot of airports are members of our association. A lot of city-owned airports are members of other, quote, nonprofits. And it basically says as long as the city receives something in return for whatever is paid, whether it's dues or a payment, as long as the city is getting something in return, then that is perfectly allowable and legal. And so check first with our city attorney in Conway, where I live, because they were the first airport to join. And we met with the mayor and Wyman just to make sure that we were getting all the information to you guys that we could about what we were doing, how we do it, and the value to the airport. We even ran it by the Arkansas Municipal League just to make sure they were okay with it as well. So what, I don't see Ernest here, but we corresponded back and forth, and I said, why don't we just write this down like a agreement that we can all sign and everybody understands what you're getting by being a member of this association. So that's the document that's in your packet today, and there's a paragraph there in section 1 that outlines all of the things that we do for our members. And it's basically anything you need done in support of your capital or operating costs. Mr. Johnson, I'll mention hangars are the #1 issue of every airport that we talk to in the state. Therefore, it's our #1 issue to address with the state of Arkansas. The Aeronautics Department would be glad to fund more hangar projects if they had more money. The good thing is we've got every legislator who's a pilot is a member of this organization, and we're working currently on trying to put together a package together for the 2021 session that will get more money put into the system. So where we fit into this, and is we're certainly going to be advocating for that, because if there's more money in the department, there's more grants that will be funded. But we're also taking input from our members on what else needs to be in that package. So we've got a good opportunity. We've got about 15, 16 months before the next legislative session to develop all that. But I just want to call your attention to the last sentence in that paragraph of duties, other duties as assigned by the airport. That means whatever you need help with that you feel like our association and the members of our association can help with, that's what we're going to do. You know, if you need, I don't know what it is, James, whatever it is, and believe me, our members, they call a lot, and we're happy to provide it. The last thing I'll mention, and then happy to answer any questions, there was a know if it was at your meeting or one of the others, about, lobbying, were we just paying a lobbyist? And I want to be very clear. I am a volunteer with this association, so I'm here today on my own dime, buying gas from Daniel and the guys over at the FBO. I'm a volunteer. I am a registered lobbyist for about 30 other clients that my firm has. That's why I'm at the Capitol every day. That's why I'm able to kind of pick up on things that you might not hear about, and I think that's just kind of an added value. But if you join this association, you're joining the General Aviation Association as a member with all the benefits that pertain thereto. And the fact that I'm a lobbyist, I hope doesn't taint it. I'm also a former politician and Speaker of the House and a lawyer, so I'm used to, having to live down the titles that I have.
Probably
But,
you're as tainted as you can get already. Don't worry, brother.
What's that?
You're as tainted as you can get.
Well,
here.
that's the joke. I used to say I'm a politician and a lawyer and a lobbyist, and I don't get invited very many places. So, but anyway, I do appreciate the chance to be here. I hope the fact that I've come up twice and I've a separate trip to meet with the mayor tells you how important we think your airport is to all of the airports in the state. It is, and again, Mr. Johnson, I'll echo your comments. Springdale is a fantastic facility, and I've flown around to a lot of them around the state and around the country. And the combination of the airport management, the FBO, the economic activity you've got on the field, through the fence, folks like Andrew and his company. So it is special. So we feel your association with us will definitely benefit us and the 17, 18 other airports so far that have joined. But we definitely want you to wear us out providing services to you as you address the issues you've got. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions or whatever you need me to do.
Any questions from the commission?
City attorney did review the more recent Attorney General's opinions and agreed that if the Airport Commission so chose, they could join this organization.
I didn't get that. Can you speak up?
The AG opinion that we were looking at was older, and there'd been a newer one issued, and the city attorney did review it and determined that the Airport Commission could join this organization if he chose to.
I haven't studied it enough to know that we have any benefit from it. I know we've got a good team working, have been, in the past, I've been on this commission for going on 21 years, and we've seen great cooperation with all the team involved, with the engineers, with the mayor's office, with Wyman fills that role now, with everybody attending meetings, both in Little Rock and in Dallas and Fort Worth. And I feel that to ask for outside assistance would be, I don't see that it would be an advantage to us. I know it's not that much money that we're talking about, but I, for one, with what little information I have and the need I feel that could be provided, I don't see a need for it at this point. But that's me.
I will, I'll abstain from this vote because of a vested interest. True Track is a member of Robbie's association, but I will speak and say how beneficial he's been to us. There's been several cases where there was someone that I needed to speak to in the state that Robbie's association was able to help with. And I will say that at least for True Track, it has been very advantageous for the very, like you said, very low fee that we pay.
Ms. Johnson, I'll say, I think you were absent the last time I was here, but I'll tell you what I told them. If at the end of the year you feel like you've not gotten $750 worth of value out of us, I'll write you a check. And Ms. Rose, I hope
Money
you'll write
back,
that down
money
and I'll
back
sign it.
guarantee.
You get money back guarantee. But I do understand, and I have heard that particular sentiment before, and all I can say is all of you have responsibilities. James has an airport to run. Daniel's got an FBO to run. All of you have businesses to run. If you could be at the Capitol every day, you would, but you can't. That's where we come in. And I'll say one last thing. Nothing in Little Rock and state government happens on accident or by itself. There's always somebody pushing behind the scenes, figuring out where to go get funding. And my experience down there is both Speaker of the House, legislator, and lobbyist. I know where to look. And like I said, I'll give you your money back if the value is not there. But anyway, I do appreciate it, and thank you.
Anyone else? Question or comment?
Yeah, I think when he's met with us previously, that, we'd been led to understand that we couldn't participate in it, so
The last,
I for one, would, like to maybe think on it just a little bit, make a final decision, because say we'd previously been said we, can't participate, so obviously a 180-degree reversal. Yeah, with new information. For $2 a day, my thought would be, is it worth it for a year? And we revisit it, it'd be my thought, we maybe take a look at it, let's say $60 a month, whatever, for a year, and see what sort of bang for a buck we get, and then, decide from there. That's my thought.
well, that's basically I echo what Bill said, but it isn't the money. I just feel that we have a good team and we've all worked together good, and I don't see a need for it. I really don't. Maybe, like you say, it's money back guarantee and everything, but some of those things is like in a marketing, any type of marketing you do, it's hard to gauge what you actually getting out of it. So it's anybody's guess whether at the end of the year is beneficial or not. But I certainly would like to think about it a little while and get more information. I wasn't here, and I do know our last meeting, this came up, and we just shoved it aside that we weren't, I thought it was dead. And then I see it come back up to Dave, and I understand why. But with that being said.
I've got a couple of questions. I belong to a couple of, in my industry, I belong to a couple of associations, and I've denied belonging to a couple of associations. But the ones that I do belong to, they provide a lot of the stuff that you state in here. But the one thing that attracts me to them is their ability to provide education, training, more information that can be used, whether it's on a financial level, on a new law understanding level, on a grant level for the frontline employee. Arkansas General Aviation Association is relatively young, correct?
1 year old.
So in its infancy, is there any plan through the board or development of the leadership to look towards providing some more meat and potato stuff for the frontline guys that, as a state, they could get together, they could share the woes and understandings and possibly get some type of training on how their world is going to develop around them?
Right. The answer is yes. And the reason it's not in the document in front of you is that was a specific, I was asked to itemize what the city of Springdale would get out of joining the association. So again, I apologize for incomplete information, and I've been trying not to interject myself in between the commission and the mayor and Mr. Morgan and Mr. Kate, and I've really been trying to hold back and not bug you guys. I haven't called any of you other than Andrew, who's already a member, because I didn't want to get in your way. But I do have brochures that outline what our intentions are to do education, to do pilot training, we're very ambitious with what we'd like to do. I've always said this, though, this association will be headed in the right direction when members start telling me what we need to do, instead of me saying, here's what we would like to do. So with your permission, I brought enough to pass around. If you take one and pass it down.
Please.
I will say this, I I've made 3 trips up. I've spent more in gas coming up to see you guys than you're going to pay in the first year. So if there are any questions I can answer, I'd like to do them now. I don't think I can afford to come back a 4th time, but you guys are that important to what we're doing. And, you know, at some point, people start to ask, why isn't so-and-so a member? Well, the answer has been, I'm a volunteer, and I go see people when I can, and I just haven't been to see those folks yet. So, you know, I do hope that there will be further consideration of the association. It is, you know, it's $750 a year. I get that dollars are precious, and that's probably $750 you would spend on something else. But again, you're looking at a 40-name waiting list on your hangars. You can apply for grants, and if there's no money at the department, you know, hangars don't get built. So what I would say is the value to you guys is I want to dig in with you on how much and when you need it. And then, you know, Mr. Chisholm is a friend of mine outside of our relationship as the association and the department. I'm going to advocate on your behalf beginning the day you join. And, you know, we'll see if we can make a dent in that, because if you have more people based at your field buying fuel, that's more sales tax revenue that goes into the fund. It's more people working on airplanes. It's more customers for the A&P shops. It just kind of feeds on itself. But I get it. We're new. We've been around a year. There's never really been a general aviation association in the state, so there's not ever really been a model for somebody to look at and say, yeah, I think we need that. Other states have something like this, and as I said the first time I was here, we copied what they're doing. And the future, I think, is bright for what we can accomplish. But we just need help getting off the ground. And, you know, I'd appreciate if, you know, today or at a future meeting, if you decide to join, we'd certainly appreciate it. We need it. And, again, at the end of the year, you don't feel like you got your money's worth, I'll say it again, you'll get your money back from me.
I got one on a note, what would help me more than anything. How many members did you say there was now at this point?
We've got, I've got a list that I can pass around. We've got with Fayetteville and Blytheville who have said they're joining. I just haven't gotten the check yet. I believe that's 17. And then I was at the AAOA meeting this week, and we had another 4 or 5 that said, I've got the thing on my desk, I will send it in. So we expect to be over 20 here shortly. And then
Could
we've got
you provide us with a copy of that and contact information?
You bet, absolutely.
Thank you.
And one final question from my end. Is there a different financial structure for different members?
So we, yes, so we did it by airspace classification.
Okay.
That was basically the way Alabama did it. Honestly, I took their fee structure and cut it in half, but that's where that came from. So the towered airports, it's a little bit more. Little Rock and XNA is 1,000, and then the rest of the airports are 500. So.
Okay.
All right.
Any other discussion, or we hear a motion whether we join this or not?
Bill, you want to sit on this for a bit?
Is that your motion?
No, I'm just asking him real quick.
I wouldn't mind going ahead and doing a vote today.
Okay, I will make a motion with all the information that we've received and lacking information from the last time we met and discussed this. I would make a motion that we go ahead and join the Arkansas General Aviation Association.
I'll second that.
Motion second, any more discussion? Have a roll call?
Schoonover,
Yes.
Johnson? No. Collier,
Yes.
Gardner,
Yes.
Andrews?
I'll abstain because
Okay, looks like we'll be joining your
Thank you.
association.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. And hold me to that, Mr. Johnson.
Pardon me?
I said, hold me to that. Your money back if you're not happy in 1 year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, just not happy?
Well, wait a minute. Please specify the grounds.
I'm gonna earn your trust, and I guarantee you'll get, but if for any reason you don't think you've gotten your money's worth. Did I say that right? Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. And Adam? We won't beat up on you that bad.
Just a few quick updates. So the concrete apron paving project, that's your state grant, one of your state grants this year. You already alluded to the fact that you're getting your reimbursement on the hangar, on the terminal roof. This project is your 9010 grant. We have had our pre-construction meeting last week. The plan was to start construction Monday of next week. Forecast doesn't look great. They are going to go ahead and do some minor electrical items next week just to get ahead while they have the electrician ready, and then plan to start the following Monday with the digging out of the pavement and the earth, and then start putting in the base. Contract time for is a month on that, 30 days, so hopefully around the end of October we'll be buttoning that thing up and then applying for reimbursement through the state. Really, that's all to report there. I will say, from being at the AAOA meeting, that's the Arkansas Airport Operator Association meetings this week, Jerry did speak about the ADA's status. Revenues are back down again. We had about 2 good months this year, and we thought that was the turning point, and they came right back down to about $600,000-$700,000 a month. So timing is everything. You threw your grants in this year in those 2 months, and you hit it. But I will say it's been a long time since I've seen a T-hanger come across that list. Small hangers, we think we saw an 80 by 60 this month. Box hanger, that's about all we're seeing come through the agenda right now. So money is tight for hangers. If y'all remember from those who were around back in 2011, we built that PAL hanger. We got between 2 grants about $500,000 worth of grant funds, which would wipe out a whole month these days of funding. And so there's just, the funds are tight right now. Just want to pass that along. One other item, we got 2 more items. Still working with FAA. They've had some turnover on their survey department, so it's been tough to get them to approve the final runway survey. So you still have an ADA grant reimbursement coming on that runway rehabilitation grant. And so we're hoping to get that buttoned up soon, just trying to keep re-educating the people down there as they turn over to get this thing pushed through. But I think we're finally making some traction there. And then next month will probably be CIP time for us to start talking through your 5-year capital improvements plan again. Good news is, I believe FAA has now set funding for the taxiway extension on the east side of the runway. They have asked for some additional information from us on that, which we're pulling together for them. But hopefully that'll start coming through the pipeline, maybe design as early as this coming summer. Any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Any old business? Comments from the commissioners?
I'll just ask the one question, in the hope that we could actually build hangars possibly through a private-public partnership. Would we lease land to a private organization to build hangars so they can do with them what they want, or? And what is our availability on land, being as landlocked as we are right now?
Got 3 building sites that are available right now, and then people are looking at them and considering those options. We've got one hangar that is on a lease, a 30-year lease now, that we'll own in about 20, I guess it's about 5 years old now.
Is it that old?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah.
So about, and Jeff Mann is supposedly building 7 hangars. But we've got 3 or 4 different groups looking to build hangars on a land lease from us.
We'd have to look for additional land. I don't know if any of that qualifies down by the old maintenance shop or not, but we were fortunate enough to acquire that several years ago, but it's so close to the runway, I don't know just what.
If we fill up these 3 spots we've got now, I've got a plan.
Sounds good.
So,
Some space on that side where the detention pond stuff, there may still be space over
No,
there,
we haven't,
if that ever
we
gets
haven't
worked
given
out.
up on the rest of that property.
Yeah, if that ever gets worked out, right.
That would be ideal.
Yeah, and then that's property we
Oh,
own.
we had a good shot at that at one time.
So we're not currently maxed at this point in time in available land. Okay.
Got land available for a hangar.
Got a few potential spots available. Okay.
Good news. Any other comments? If not, we'll adjourn.
Beautiful. At 61 minutes.